Hey everyone, this is Dr. Kevin McGovern from Perfect Motion Sports Therapy. I want to go over a key concept of human movement that sometimes people have a hard time understanding. And that basic law is the law of proximal to distal. And what that means is that that's how the human body has to move from proximal to distal. And that essentially means from the spine to the extremities. Okay. And what that means is essentially muscle by muscle, nerve by nerve, from our spine out. Okay. There's a specific neurological sequence of events that must happen for that to occur, right? So let me erase this here. So if we remember the very first picture of ourselves, right? Very, very, very first one. Does anyone remember what that is? Well, I'm going to show you because we pretty much all look the same, right? So I'm going to draw your picture exactly, your very first one. It works for everybody. I'm clairvoyant. It kind of looked like this. It kind of looked like this thing here. Okay. It's an amoeba looking thing, right? And what that was is essentially our head and our spinal cord on the first ultrasound, all right? And that's how the body is, how life essentially begins with the neurological system. So our head and our spinal cord, okay? And that's essentially how the body has to move, right? So put this more. So, you know, in our spinal column, I'm certainly no artist, but we have all these vertebrae, right? They're stacked on top of one another, right? And then behind our vertebrae, we have this, you know, our spinal column. And then we have some more bones that wrap around this to protect it. And this is our back, right? This is where our back, we can feel our back, and this is more towards our stomach, okay? So we can feel, as we, you know, palpate down our spine, you can feel little bumps, okay? And that's what's called the spinous process. And that you can, you know, feel that, but obviously you can't feel your spinal cord, but off of each level of our vertebrae come these spinal nerves, and they go on to innervate at each level our entire body, from our head to our tailbone. All the nerves come off there and innervate parts of the body that move, just like the wires of your fuse box in your house would come out of the panel and innervate or connect to certain plugs. The human body works exactly like that. And what gets the body in trouble is when we break the proximal to distal law. So what do I mean by that? The best example I can give is what you have been told when lifting up something heavy is to, of course, bend your knees, okay? That's the worst advice in human history, all right? So again, I'm going to give you my Picasso drawing, my stick figure. Here I am, here are my legs, okay? So I'm going to lift up this heavy boulder over here, right? So if you tell me that as I move, right, here I am, okay, there's my essential spinal column. As I move and I bend my knee, which is way down here, I bend my knee first, okay, that's over here. I've skipped a joint, okay, I've skipped an area, I've skipped my pelvis, right? I went first into bending my knee first. So I went, you know, here's the message, it goes into the brain. Yep, we have to move, goes down the spinal column. And whoops, we skipped our butt, our groin, our back extensors, our pelvic floor muscles, all of that because we bent our knee first. And the body will shut it off. And you bypassed it. The body is always trying to conserve energy. So if you bypass it, it will shut it off. Now, what should have happened is we should have hinged our butt back first, then our thighs, then our knees, and got into a more of a squat, more of a, actually in a squat position. So I kind of, let me draw my good squatter here. I'm going to go to art school. So here we have our head, torso, thighs, feet, knee, lower legs, feet. This is the position that we should have gotten to pick up this boulder. But instead we went here first, skipping this entire area. Once we do that, it shuts it off. There are countless videos where you'll see on my YouTube page where that just happens, where someone will bend their knees first. I can push them over with one finger, even though they come in, so I can squat 400 pounds. Great, but if you bend your knees first, the muscles that were supposed to help you have now come in to actually almost hurt you. So that is the key component to proximal to distal. It is a law that should not be broken. So let's talk about upper extremities, right? So now we've got our same guy here, and we've got our chin-up bar up here. Okay, I can't actually do a chin-up, but some people can. So we're gonna put our arms up here on the chin-up bar, and we've got essentially our a much better draw on this. So let's put our little head here, our neck, our shoulders. There's our arm up there. Okay, here we go. Look at that, like Picasso. So if we pull from here first and not from here, not moving our shoulder blades down because this is closest to the spine, a scapular depression movement, moving shoulder blade to hand, that would be proximal to distal. If we move distal to proximal, meaning we pulled from our hands, we're going to shrug and we're going to cause a shoulder impingement. All kinds of bad things are going to happen because we are out of neurological sequence. The proximal to distal law is a kinesiological law that we have to move from our spine out. So if we're going to push, so whether we're going to push or pull, or rotate, push, pull, rotate, okay? Everything has to start at the spine. And I will leave you with kind of a cruel example, but it hits home, right? So essentially, if we had a person who had both, this is just something to think about, had prosthetic, was arms and legs. So we just had this torso here, and this was prosthetic, this was prosthetic, these arms were prosthetic, okay? How do they move? How would we be able to pick them up? And the reason for that is because the movement has to start here. And that is essentially the proximal to distal law. And it's a law. A law is something that can be provable, and that is to be provable. So hopefully that helps. If you have any questions, you can always visit us at the World Wide Web at Perfect Motion. I can't write either. Sports Therapy. Thanks for listening, and also please like this channel. Thank you.